Mom, you
You,
didn't decide to do dating after your divorce. Not
no,
much.
no, I was done. Thank you very much. The thing is,
So what cups do we have today?
Oh, okay. Let's
well,
go for
I
cups. Which one
have
you have?
my 49ers.
Oh my
Oh,
goodness.
you might make
I
enemies from that.
Can you see?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
perfect.
yes, finally. I got this.
Mm,
Café
Para
para
despertar.
despertar los sueños.
that is so true.
Very good.
Coffee to wake up.
And mine is this
Carbs.
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 Carbs. Anyways, the cafecito is good.
Yeah,
Good.
I got tea though today.
Uh-oh.
I wanted to have ginger lime tea.
Oh, that's very good.
I
That's a
felt
very good tea.
sleepy, so I said, I need to wake up, but I don't want coffee right now, otherwise I'll be awake until 11. I'm not that kind of person.
I
I know.
can so easily, so
Yeah, I
easily.
have to have my 7 hours, at least to eight
Beauty
hours.
sleep. Beauty sleep.
Yeah, beauty sleep.
That's very important.
Well, what's on our minds today?
Oh
Well, I
my
was
goodness.
I was making a comment to Tia Laura a little while ago that I read an article on Time Magazine
Mm-hmm.
by a Miss I should have written it, but I think the last name is Miss Barua,
Mm-hmm.
Barua, and was talking. I have never thought about that really, about the state of the economy in relation with the young people
Mm-hmm.
that probably they're in their 20s and 30s, I guess, in
Mm-hmm.
trying to, dating and this and that, in that how difficult it is right now uh, to commit to a, serious relationship.
Mm-hmm.
That, renting, uh, probably not even apartments, are getting very, very expensive. The labor market is very, fluctuates a lot. Now with the technology of artificial intelligence is making things a little bit difficult.
Mm-hmm.
For
And that
humans.
makes
For
for
humans.
For
Because the
humans.
organizations will tell you that this is the best that could happen to them.
the
True.
the the ones that are the owners of the companies,
Exactly.
those are doing very wonderful, but the young people, the working people that are looking for a job that is not really, something that is certain, and wages, you know don't go up. It's not the same as it was before, and I haven't thought about it,
Yeah.
because really, many young people come out of college, number one, with a college, loan, with the debt, and then trying to find, be independent from their parents, live on their own, and more that is changing. And they start dating, and if they're planning something serious, they have to think twice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I saw that article, and I think part of the discussion or the sentiment was that don't be too quick to judge people who are still living at home because there can be different circumstances for why, right? I think one is what you're talking about, which is it's harder for the younger generation to find some entry level jobs because of AI. And they might be, more strapped. And so they're at home. Maybe they're at home because they're saving money with whatever job they do have to be able to eventually get their own place. And so I think she was saying that in the old days, when the economy was better, that you would be really judged harshly if you were still living with your parents and automatically not an option, right? But maybe the rules are changing a little bit because the circumstances are making some people have to make that choice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very true.
And I was reading something too because I wanted to take a look at what are the stats currently in terms of the impact of AI. And it looks like there's two primary things that AI are doing according to this Forbes article. One is they're substituting the work that would have been done by a human, right? The other one is they're modifying what they're doing to enhance processes. So for some people, it works in their favor, and for others, it's the opposite, right? So they're
Yes,
very extreme ends here.
yes,
And I think the bottom line is we know it's transforming the workforce in some fashion, right? And
yes.
it is impacting mostly the Gen Z population, which is the younger population.
Poor thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're fighting against so many obstacles and so many how you call it yeah, threats, right?
Hmm.
Because I would say that actually nowadays on the new careers, they're probably updating that information and they're giving or providing more AI training, right? Or education, I would
Hmm.
say,
Hmm.
which in a way is good, right? It's very good because I mean, I can see that even people on my age, my friends, they really enjoy it, when they design or they ask for things and whatnot. But you're right. I mean, that is hurting mostly the young people that are still under their careers and just about to get a job.
Yeah.
And I wonder what kind of job they can get now.
Well, the irony is that, like you say, I do think they're infusing it into education more now. But then the ones who are ready to move into the workforce, they have that knowledge, but the timing's not great in some instances, right? Because if they're doing, again, entry level jobs where AI is now the substitute for the human doing the work, then they have
Exactly.
knowledge that would be helpful, but they can't get that position, right?
Sorry, because yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
We
So,
we we have this wonderful thing called AI.
yeah, the good and bad of it. But it did get me to thinking about, like, you were talking, Mom, and it allowed the many obstacles, right? Because it's not just about finding the job, but they're coming in with a lot of debt, and so it is impacting their dating
Economy.
life, the economy, but also their dating life, their socialization, right? Because if they don't have the funds to do some things, then it impacts that stuff. And it made me think about, because I think it's kind of tied to this, the red flags that we used to have when we were dating, they might change because we're probably going to see more and more people who do live at home or share a place with multiple people because that's the only way they can manage the rent or whatever, right? So I thought maybe we can segue the conversation into what were the red flags or the old rules of dating that you remember that would be like, no, we're not going any further than the first date because this is a red flag. Um, so like I said,
Very interesting.
right? Because I think it is going to change with all of this.
Totally.
And one used to be if they don't have their own place, then that's a
Yes.
no-go. That's a
So
no-go.
Or
very
they
much
cannot
so.
rent their
Oh,
own place.
yes. Because I remember in my time, and of course, you're talking, oh, dear Lord, many, many years ago,
Dear.
especially in a place like Mexico with certain traditions and guidelines. I'm talking the 1960s, probably late
70s.
1960s, for someone to offer you, and the thing was the man offer you. The women were, it was not as common to have a career, a profession, and you be on your own. So it was changing. At that time, it was changing, pretty interesting. But in general, in our, when we were living in at that time, the zeitgeist of the time was that the young man that wanted to have a commitment with you had to have a house, was getting, well, first of all, a profession,
Mhm.
and then be
Exactly.
able to
An
either
income, I would
rent
say an income,
An income,
an income.
because they can be entrepreneurs, they can be their own
Oh, that's
business.
true.
right?
That's true.
True.
But you had to have, like you were saying, so of course, independent, offer you a place. Either you
Independent.
were want to rent an apartment, buy an apartment or house, and things were not even close to how difficult it is now.
Hmm.
Because I was reading in that article that I tell you, something like it is close to $200, I think, to go out on a date. And for if he's buying, for example, if
Or you
that
mean like a
partner is
dinner or
buying.
something?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
close to go out. And I'm thinking, of course, maybe the movies, it's something at the movies, going it out.
Mm-hmm. So in your day, was the expectation that the other person pays in full?
Yes.
In full.
He would
It
invite
will
you.
look
Oh,
really
yes.
bad if you, I mean, they don't even, right? They didn't even ask you at all.
Yeah, that was expected. That was the expectations.
Mhm.
Also, if he's serious, and they want to, be romantic because they
Mhm.
were, I don't know, nowadays, they would come with flowers, chocolates, even what they call serenades, serenatas. They brought many to Tia Laura.
What was that exactly? They'd actually have someone serenading?
At 12 midnight, they come with a party, right? With four players. And they right on your balcony and they start your
Singing
eye. Yes.
Okay, well.
either a mariachi or a
That's called
trio.
mariachi. Yeah, mariachi band or a small one. How do you call that? The trio
A
band.
trio.
Uh-huh.
The three people with guitars. Lovely
In a
music,
good
really.
way, okay?
I don't
Trio
know
means three
nowadays.
people.
Right. Not a threesome, like
No,
a
no, no.
threesome that was,
Trio people
Three
singing for
musicians.
you,
clarified,
okay?
clarified.
Three
Well,
musicians singing very nice. I don't know
Musician.
nowadays.
well, I was gonna say, when
One
do you,
way.
and I don't know if that's
No.
particular to, Mexico or Latin America, if that was more, right, because mariachi is, I don't know that there's equivalents here in the US, but when do you think that changed? Because I would assume at some point that stopped.
I don't know because
Oh,
Serenade.
by the
definitely.
early
Even in
70s I
my
was
like
married and I came here.
1980s is still going.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Yours is more popular and in your days, but
Mm-hmm.
in mine, 1980s, 1980s, 90s, 90 is still
They're
going
still going.
Mm-hmm.
here.
Good, good.
And I will tell you that I know about, a couple of friends, nieces or nephews or sons, they still do it. And this is really nice.
Oh,
That
that's
that's really a
nice.
very romantic touch.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I do think some of this is generational, right? Because when you talk about the expectation was the other person paid in full, I think as we moved into like the late 80s, 90s, like more my generation, there was more opportunity to split the bill, right? I think part of it was the wave of feminism where it's like I don't need you to pay for
Exactly.
me. Um,
Not only that, but the female also have jobs and very good jobs. Finally, nowadays they're starting to get good positions to the females, on that side, which was very progressive, I would say, because back then, in order to get a good position, and earn a good, it was fighting, it
yeah,
was very
that's a
difficult.
good point. That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
bet you today they go and take a serenade, a serenata with just one musician.
Or maybe themselves
Or
turn it
a
on the radio.
radio. Or a radio. If they still
Or
have
a
them.
radio.
And I would say that that's even romantic, it's really nice. Talking about the economy and dating, the red flags that you were referring to, I think myself, that really depends also on the education that they receive, or what they saw at home, because here in Mexico, when there is a family, I'm talking about nuclear family, dad, mom, and kids, and the dad is pretty romantic, or the guy saw all these details and whatnot. I mean, they probably will repeat that information. And I would say the money, yes, the money will count, but nowadays that they both work, here in Mexico is more popular to share, to pay expenses, to share the expenses, or when they go out, maybe you pay the drinks, I pay the dinner, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Less popular than the United States, definitely, because
Mm-hmm.
here people still do that. But it really depends. And now we're behind United States, of course, money wise, economic wise, financial wise, because you are, differently in that matter. But we are seeing more international or foreign companies coming down to hire people here, which is really
Good.
encouraged.
Yeah, yeah. But I do think there's this other piece of it which you made me think about, because I think old tradition too in Mexico was probably like a lot of respect towards the parents of the person you're dating, right? And acknowledging them and bridging like the okay to even date at times, and certainly when it gets more serious, right? And I
Yes,
think it's
exactly.
definitely more routine than here in the US. And until it's time for marriage, I think there's a more serious, like, formal ask
Exactly.
for the marriage.
Yeah.
And I think that, does it feel like that's still a tradition that's very strong down there, that there is an early on like a acknowledgement of the two
Oh
families?
yes, I can see. Well, I speak for my girlfriends, or families that I know. Um, they definitely react that. In my own family in Mexico, some of my nephews already live together with a partner. They have not commit to a marriage,
Mm-hmm.
and it's getting more popular to do that too, right? But it's still very few though,
Mm-hmm.
because nowadays, on the society, it's still the kids, they go and they talk to the if they like, if they like the person, or they really commit to a formal relationship, they speak with their parents and they go out together and everything. Now, what I can see different from my time of year, my time of when I was young, is that they travel together more often without being married. So
Oh,
I guess they split their expenses or whatnot. But yeah, they travel a lot. And I can see that couples, even though here they live with their parents, mother, him and her, they both travel together.
Mom,
And yeah,
that's
more
sort of
both.
more the norm. But
Yes.
mom, you had a strong reaction. Does that mean in your day that was not gonna happen?
not even close. Not even close. Still, in my time, yeah. I mean, you know, it was very extraordinary that you lived, with your partner without a commitment. Of course, married in the church, if you had that tradition, at the very least married, how would you call it, in civilian
Legally,
marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
civilian.
I mean,
Uh-huh.
in other
Mm-hmm.
words, something formal.
Mm-hmm.
um
Hmm.
yeah.
To be able
Although
to
it was
travel
beginning.
together.
Uh-huh.
But the funny part is that they live with their families.
That's
See,
something.
the man lives with the
Wow.
parents, and she lives with the parents, with the family, and they organize trips together, and they go all over the world, and they travel together. Again, this is my point of view is that they both work, and they if they work in a good company, they make good money.
Right.
And of
Yeah.
course, they probably saving money without renting, right?
Right.
Because they still live with the
So they
parents.
have like a plan to get together and live together at some point, or they just
Exactly.
like it like that.
Yeah.
Hopefully so, because as you know, it
Well,
might take years though. It might take years.
but my
Hmm.
question to you, Aunt Lauda, is, do you feel there are generational differences in how you date? Like, thinking about my younger cousins versus an older, person, single person dating now, are the rules different?
Oh yes, before you mean before when I was.
Now.
Oh,
Now.
now. Well, it is different now because, like I said, there's been changes a lot, and we are globally influenced, right? Because the young people or the new generations, even the boomers like myself, you know, globally has changed everything. I can probably I've been trouble with some friends, male friends, and I'm open now for that. Before I wasn't, of
Mm-hmm.
course not. Like Anna says, it was totally not acceptable.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. And I know grandma's not around anymore, but I'm curious, when she was around? Were there still the same formalities when you were seeing somebody or talking to somebody? How involved were they with grandma? Did you introduce them to grandma? Did you?
When it was serious, of course, my mother always have to know who I was going out with. Always have to meet this person, right? So if he hasn't met him, if she did, I mean, if she hasn't met him, I will have to introduce to her, at least once, and tell him where he was from or who he was or how did I met him. Not just going out and don't, before we didn't have nightclubs. I don't know how you call nowadays. I think it's nightclubs or whatever. We used to have discos.
Mm-hmm.
And discos was almost the same thing, or sometimes even worse. No, no worse. But the nightclubs, because it was dancing, a lot of dancing, and of course drinking and whatnot. But in order for me to go to a disco with someone, my mother will definitely have to know, first of all, the person. Second of all, go with someone, a companion. How you call that?
Like a
Like
chaperone?
a chaperone, chaperone.
Exactly.
Or a group of people, right? That I would say, I'm coming with my friends, and this guy is coming, and this guy is coming, so okay, it's like a bolita, right? It's a group of people,
Mm-hmm.
their own friends. But nowadays, no way. I mean, I can see, it's not my case, but I can see when they come back and, they come and say, uh, I'm going to go nightclub. Or sometimes they don't even, they just tell their parents, tonight I have plans, period. And sometimes they show up maybe the next day, as long as they are in touch, because
Mm-hmm.
nowadays it's very dangerous in Mexico. I have to be honest. But yeah, as long as they keep in touch. And my mother always, always asks me, when you come back, you come and let me know that you're at home.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mom, you didn't decide to do dating after your divorce. Not
No,
much.
no, I was done. Thank you very much. The thing is that when I was
No.
young, I'm trying to remember Tia Laura because she is that she loves to go out and do things, travel, dance, always that enthusiastic. I
Mm.
was more quiet. I
Mm-hmm.
think that I was not really that much going out. We would go in a group, friends, girlfriends, and male friends, like to the movies, um, to have some coffee, but it was mostly in group. When someone wanted to talk more to you or know you more or something, as far as I remember, they would come and visit you in the house, in grandma and
Oh,
grandpa's house.
Mm-hmm.
Then I moved to Mexico
how
City.
boring.
Well, I probably wasn't that much interested. I don't know. Then I moved to Mexico City with grandmama and Tia
May
Nina.
I say something?
Yeah.
I remember that your mother used to work for the embassy, U.S. Embassy in Mexico City, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she ran away when she was 18 years old
Mm-hmm.
and left all alone in the jungle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Well, this is the first, I have to make this, background. So, anyways, I remember that she had a party in my grandma's. So, yeah, that's your grand auntie, your
Mm-hmm.
grandmother
Mm-hmm.
house, and she invited a very cute guy. I was probably 12, I don't know, but he was very handsome, Anna, and you were going out with him.
A consul?
Don't say no.
Yeah. See, that's when I
Yeah.
began to meet
Yeah.
more people. Well, I was what, 23, 24, and we would have
Yes.
get-togethers even in other embassies. It was pretty interesting. And there,
Mm-hmm.
there was a consul, that's right. I forgot
Very
about
She
that.
forgot.
nice. Oh, you forgot?
Mm-hmm.
I think probably I saw something. No, but you had a party and then you were dancing there and you had many people in there. Do you remember that?
I probably invited them to the house. Oh my
Yes.
goodness, you're talking about what, 50 years
No,
ago?
no, no. Well, I'm talking about a long time ago, but I
But
do
yeah,
remember.
there was a very interesting console, and then I
Very
invited them
interesting.
to the house. That's right.
Look at her.
That
She's
is right.
Come
she's
you forget
forgetting.
those
She's pretending
things?
to forget.
Exactly. You
I
shouldn't.
don't know.
That keeps you going.
Exactly.
And
Well, that's what I met their dad.
oh, well, that's when things went awry. Uh, we won't go down
Let's,
that memory lane.
now she has memory.
Right. Ugh,
He's
why
back
that one?
again.
Why that one?
Excuse me? Welcome from your neighbor, your nightmare.
Yeah, exactly. Right to a
Wake up
nightmare.
from your nightmare. No, it wasn't a nightmare. You're here with us, and this is a blessing. And your
That's
other
for
two
Sure.
sure.
brothers.
Sure.
That's
Okay.
for sure. I don't know if Joanne's daddy would have been a consul and we would have traveled too. I don't know.
Oh my goodness. That concert I remember. Because I remember my cousins that are older than me. They were gossip. Oh my God, did you see that? Oh my goodness. And your mama was happy. I can see that. You should have pictures of that so you can go back to memories.
Do
Or
I
not.
have pictures of them? I don't think so, but
Or not.
wow. Memories. I
So,
can barely remember last year, but yeah.
But I also remember, since you were in Mexico City, sorry to interrupt. I mean, since she left home, she was more freedom. I mean, I wouldn't say your character wasn't like outgoing like
Uh-huh.
you are saying, but you have that. You went out so many times, no? When you live with
Yeah,
mommy.
probably more than in Mexico City because again we would go on a group to a nightclub to have a couple of drinks and take a taxi home.
Exactly.
Oh, times were so different in
you
that was probably in the late 60s, early
you
70s.
said you were with Aunt Nina at that time?
I was living with, well, that's that. When I came to Mexico City to live,
Mm-hmm.
I lived with them.
Mm-hmm.
Great grandma, Auntie Nina.
Yes.
So they weren't very like overprotective or
Yes, they were. That's why I
okay.
had a certain time to come back and know who I was
Yes, they
going
were.
with. And and I had two very nice friends, girlfriends that we would go out places. Um, One of them married a Marine, Ceci, right? I met her in the
Don't ask me.
embassy. Yeah, Ceci. And then
That I
we
don't
met
know.
in Camp Pendleton, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So we would go out, not with the Marines really, and I love and respect them, Marines, but no, it would be more like celebrations or things done in the embassy, and
Mm-hmm.
we went to other embassies. It
Mm-hmm.
was a very nice environment. And
Yeah.
of course, the city was 100% safer, the world probably, than it
Yeah, the
was today.
world. Well, and I'm curious because what we're talking about, I think, are cultural norms. And so definitely sounds like, and I'm sure there was a time here in the US too, that there were some rules around how you get people's permission, your parents' permission to be going places, and things became probably a little more flexible here before they got a little more flexible down there. But I'm curious if people feel like we've lost something in being so loose about the rules around dating and what happens after that, because it felt like there was some bridge to the other person's family, right? Which is part of the person that you're seeing, right? It's good to know those things. Because what I often hear when it's not like that, when people then get serious and want to get married and then they start the family building, knowing the family,
That
sometimes
doesn't
that
work.
sometimes that causes problems, right? Because now suddenly the family doesn't agree or doesn't approve, and then how do you handle that? How do you navigate that? But I was thinking, what are because I know I have younger cousins, and and Lada, obviously you have your son. What are the things that you think are red flags now, that apart from the whole family piece, but are there any other red flags you would tell them, like thinking about my younger cousins there, that you would tell them to be aware of as they're dating, that would be things to think about before they get serious with somebody? And we can
Well,
start with that,
definitely.
Laura. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say definitely here in Mexico, and I can see the young people like that. First of all, the environment or I don't want to talk about a status, but I definitely, it's less common. Okay, nowadays it's less common how you get involved with a certain group of people. but it has to be a lot with the with your how you call it, with the group of people
Like
that
your
you go
circle.
out with.
Like your
Yeah,
circle.
your circle,
Mhm.
right? So let's say they
Exactly.
study a career in engineer or architect, and they get together, and that's how they start. Some of them, they are like that. In the other hand, if they have a job, they also meet people at job.
Exactly.
So that they also, but you're right, because nowadays it takes longer to have a relationship, and that I don't know why.
Mhm.
They might have people, they might have a girlfriend, a boyfriend, they might do that, but it's not like before.
Mhm.
Nowadays they don't bring them home. Probably their parents know 2 years after they're dating, you
Mhm.
know and even though it's serious, because I've heard from young men, they say, I have a girlfriend, and I really like her, and this and that. Where is she? I want to meet her. Oh, no, 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 not yet. you know and I wonder if it is because their freedom, they appreciate their freedom,
Mhm.
they appreciate what they do, right? They appreciate to spend time with their friends, their same colleagues,
Mhm.
instead of just like sharing time, with a girlfriend, and then,
Mhm.
so that's probably my feeling nowadays,
Yeah.
that is happening.
Yeah.
And it's not because they don't want to commit, it's because that's easier and they see it quite often. This is more common
Mhm.
nowadays.
Mhm. What about you, Mom? Any red flag that you would point out?
Well, that's what I was going to say. That one thing that is, in the old days, if you will, that you follow certain guidelines, and they would come and visit you if they wanted something serious, and if they were general friends, where, well, you were in groups going to the movies, to the theater, etc. The bad thing was you really didn't get to know the person, because nowadays, when they go more together, they're more open. I was seeing the red flags. If you talk about it later, what we kind of want to see in a person, you didn't have much of a chance, maybe a couple of those red flags. And
Mhm.
nowadays you can get, you get to, you get to know the person more, precisely because we go out more freely or live together with the person
Mhm.
before you say yes. This is a relationship I want to keep, because I know the person,
Yeah.
and I like it, and we get,
Exactly.
um, that of course has is like in everything, pros and cons, because
Mhm.
then you're going to change partners every so often, and you don't know
That's what
for
I don't
sure
like.
what you want. Uh-huh. So
Yeah.
Well,
so there is always this, but I think that now young people, since the 80s probably, or 90s, you get to know more the person
mhm.
than when you were more confided to, well, you come and visit, or you go with a group of people and it was a couple of hours conversation, nothing the freedom you had later on.
Yeah, and I know that we're running out of time, but I think that what you're talking about is really getting to know the person holistically. And some of the red flags that come up in a first date are that they're rude, they don't want to know about you, they treat others disrespectfully, they don't respect boundaries. And some of that you can witness in their interactions with their social circle, with their family. So if you get to know, and it used to be said, you know how someone is by how they treat their parents, right? And
Yes.
so
Yes.
I think if you have the opportunity to explore that, that might reveal something that will be helpful for you before you figure out
Totally.
getting
I
together.
encourage them to do that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, real quickly, and let's introduce ourselves. Mom,
Ana,
my Tia.
Laura,
I'm Joanna, and we want to remind you, whether it's good, bad, or funny,
leave it
leave it
up.
up.